As the NFL draft starts here, Mobile, Alabama, the Panini Senior Bowl. We're bringing in national practice for the next 2 hours inside Hancock Whitney Stadium on the grounds of the University of South Alabama. Here comes Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt record-setting quarterback that led that program to unprecedented heights. You got a pair of Penn State running backs, Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton. Remarkable careers there in Happy Valley, even though they fell just short of expectations. And TJ Parker, the Clemson D end, he is here, hopeful to impress the assembled NFL GMs, scouts, etc. that'll be on hand for the next 3 days here in Mobile. You take a look at the impact the Panini Senior Bowl has had. Look at the first-round picks over the years. It just keeps getting bigger. 24 the record at 10. Last year, 7. Needless to say, if you're here to mine talent, odds are if you're an NFL GM or coach or franchise, you're going to find one of your diamonds if they're rough, if not a first-round pick. 2 hours of TV today with the Nationals, 2 hours of TV with the American. We cannot wait to get inside with you. Louis Riddick, Mike Tannenbaum, Field Yates, Matt Berry back with you. Gentlemen, great to be back here with you again. We've all talked off camera. One of our favorite weeks of the year because we get to see some of these guys work towards their NFL dream. Down the line, Louis, I'll start with you. Why is this week so important?
Well, look, first and foremost, the coaching staffs. This is their first real exposure to this 2026 draft class. And really, this is where the rubber really starts to meet the road, to borrow a Mike Tomlin phrase, because it's such an interactive experience here. So really, the coaches really get to, even if they're not coaching this football game, you see a lot of times they're out here coaching these guys up individually. And the players get to expose themselves to the people who are going to directly impact their future once they get in their respective buildings. And I think that close proximity, the interactive communication, the relationship building that starts to be built here. Look, we saw it years ago. We saw Mike Tomlin come down here year after year and pull aside a certain individual. Keanu Benton is the one that really jumps out to me. He took a liking to him here at this football game, and when I talked to him here last year, he said, I knew right away I was going to draft him because of the experience he had here with him. That's why for these kids, this is huge. This environment is as good as it gets.
And for me, these players get so much just for showing up and being competitive.
Yeah.
Like, as Lewis mentioned, with all the GMs and head coaches here, look, some of these players haven't played in several months. Their season's end. We're sitting here towards the end of January, and last year, Armand Membu, 7th pick overall, he was here. Jackson Dart really helped himself immeasurably being here. So what to me would be fun is if the four of us are sitting here by close of business tomorrow, which quarterback, Diego Pavia is getting all the headlines coming in, Matt, but maybe there's somebody else that steps up that really helps himself.
Let me hit on your area real quick, though, Phil, before we get to you. It's years in the front office. How valuable is this week for you and your type?
Very, very important because, one, as Lewis mentioned, how do they take to the coaching? How are they, from a competition standpoint, how do they do when they have a bad rep? We're going to see offensive linemen and defensive linemen in a big circle in a little bit here. Hey, that's pressure. And how are these guys? Are they coachable? Do they get better? What's the level of competition? Matt, it could break a tie in draft rooms come April.
Yeah.
I think what's cool about this week, I've always thought, is that each player means something a little bit different for. So I think generally speaking, the idea of best on best applies to a lot of these guys. 130 or so of the best college football players that have finished their career, senior players, and some underclassmen as well after some new rules instituted last year. But I think what's really cool is you canvass this field over the next 4 hours between the two teams. And you've got Division III players. You've got a wide receiver from John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio, right?
Sounds like a future head coach.
A corner from Stephen F. Austin. You also have players who came into this past college football season, like I'll give you an example, TJ Parker from Clemson, who may have been saying to himself, if the mock drafts are to be believed, I'm on my way to becoming a top 10 pick in the draft come April. The season didn't go as planned for Clemson as a team and for TJ Parker as an individual player. He's here this week, and in some ways it's a chance to reestablish the value he has. He was one of the best players on the field yesterday, and I remember thinking about him during the process this fall and seeing the tape. You just kind of wished it warmed you up a little bit more, and it didn't until late in the season. Now he's put together a strong finish to the season, a strong first day, and you're saying to yourself, you know what? With that kind of power and some of that rush ability off the edge, maybe he does find his way back into that first-round conversation.
And he's kind of one of those guys where we use the moniker, the draft starts here, because he's a guy that can shoot up the board just from being in front of these guys this week who had a productive career.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what's going to be most important for a guy like TJ, obviously, when you have a player who kind of does that, right? The fit, where he goes, who he coaches, who coaches him? What kind of buttons do they know how to push with him? How do they really relate to him? What kind of teammates does he have in his defensive line room? See, those kind of guys, look, I've seen TJ numerous different times live. I mean, they are phenomenally talented, right?
Sure.
But, I mean, don't they scare you to death? Because you sit there and go, well, which guy are we going to get
Yeah.
from week to week, let alone, from day to day? You got to figure that out, and that's the puzzle these guys are trying to put together.
And again, for TJ Parker, he gets a lot of credit for showing up. We thought we'd maybe see Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor. Totally understand that they dropped out. They just played in the national championship game. For TJ Parker, hey, take that opportunity.
No
more
question.
reps, more eyeballs on you.
Yeah, do you play in the national championship game? You're playing 20 games.
Yeah.
You're upwards of 16, 17 games. You're playing a lot of football. And so, again, some of these guys, you've got to unearth a gem or two to really build your NFL roster. And that's what this week is for as we build that process to the combine, to the NFL draft. Now, everybody has the pressure to find the franchise quarterback. We've seen a number of quarterbacks come out of here and have successful NFL careers. In fact, 4 of Mel Kiper's top 10 quarterbacks are here in Mobile. Garrett Nussmeier, Diego Pavia, he's going to be in the national practice behind us. Sawyer Robertson the same. Taylon Green and Garrett Nussmeier we'll see later this afternoon. But, gentlemen, I want to cage this as politely as I can.
Sure.
That when you look at this year's draft crop, there isn't a bona fide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's an opportunity here for some of these players to work their way up that board and be that next quarterback selected.
Yeah, and on Mel's big board right now, number 3 is Trinidad Chambliss, who might be back in college next year as he awaits word on his appeal to get that 6th year of eligibility. You spend time talking to coaches, scouts around this event, and you ask the question often, who do you think is the 3rd quarterback off the board? And it's not a guarantee, but I think the most, obviously, Fernando Mendoza is going to go number 1 to the Raiders. Ty Simpson, the most likely bet for quarterback 2. The race is wide open, and there's an opportunity here for one of these players to help establish themselves this week. And Lewis is talking about fit for a guy like TJ Parker and the right scheme for these quarterbacks. I don't know that anybody outside that top 2 quarterbacks is going to be viewed coming into the NFL as a likely early career starter. But so much of the rest of your quarterback room it is predicated upon what are we getting out of you? Are you a developmental backup quarterback? Are you a quarterback that has maybe a higher floor but a lower ceiling? Identifying what exactly these quarterbacks might be over the next couple of months is a really important part of the process, and there's potentially some money and draft stock to be made for the handful of quarterbacks that are here this week.
I'll tell you, one name that's interesting to me is Cole Payton, left-hander, North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Completed over 70% of his passes. Look, it was one practice yesterday, but kind of caught my eye. Like, this situation wasn't too big for him. This environment wasn't too big for him. Looking at his production here on the screen, and Matt, you talked about unearthing some gems here. Here's somebody that could really help themselves this week with a good week of practice and hopefully plays well in the game.
And there's star power, and we know that star power as you take a look at Cole Payton, one of these guys. Look, the guy that stops and starts the North Dakota State standard. When you look at some of the guys, Trey Lance didn't work out from North Dakota State. Carson Wentz, he started his career out, but Lewis, lower level of football, you get to come here and play up for a week.
Yeah, what you wind up doing is you let people now kind of get some of their questions answered that maybe they couldn't get based upon the level of competition that you played with. And I'm not sitting here trying to disparage the level of competition that he competed at. But now you get to have NFL scouts, NFL coaches actually sit and see you operate in their environment, in the upper level environment, and kind of start filling in some of the blanks. And I'll just add this. Look, we can all sit here as evaluators of football players and try to find out or try to kind of express that we know a little bit something about a player that maybe the next guy doesn't. When you're talking about guys who aren't kind of the obvious knock you in the face first round type of players, it's not so much about you being able to identify something that the next guy can't.
Yeah.
It's about what do you have as an organization to offer this guy in terms of development, and what level of patience do you have? What kind of quarterback room do you have around him? What kind of wide receivers running? We've seen it happen time and time again. We know that organizations are as responsible, if not more responsible, for a player's success or failure than the player themselves. And that's the thing with these guys you have to keep in mind.
And that never gets talked about enough. They're like, oh, so-and-so was a bust. Well, maybe the organization didn't do what the organization needed to do to surround that player with success. I want to pivot to Diego Pavia because where he lacks in stature, he makes up for in star power.
Right.
He's one of the biggest names here. And Field, candidly, he's going to be a polarizing prospect. merely because of his height. That's it.
That totally. And he measured in just under 5'10". You know, prior to practice today, I spent some time with Jordan Matthews, longtime NFL wide receiver turned tight end, went to Vanderbilt, is now back with the program. And he said, I'm here today so that people understand the player and the person that Diego Pavia is and how much he meant to our program. And you can have things like the rocket arm, the great size, the electric speed. He said, but you got to have something more. It all looks good when you've got these traits that get you 5-star ratings. But what do you have within you when the game is actually begun? And that meant a lot to me here in Jordan Matthews' perspective, who that program is near and dear to his heart because not just he played there, but proud Vanderbilt alum. And it was interesting to hear how much Diego meant to guys that are, nearly a decade removed from playing at Vanderbilt, and clearly that program was put on the map in large part because of Diego's success, and this is an important couple of days here for him. And I think that fundamentally coaching and scouting is, at its roots, it's not just sitting there and saying this is what the guy can't do. It's identifying what can you do and how can we maximize that.
Look, his production speaks for itself. The objective data speaks for itself. The subjective data, as far as what you're talking about, the football character, the impact that he had on that building. You walk into Vanderbilt's football facility this past year, the past 2 years, and the discussion always starts with Diego Pavia. From the head coach on down into the locker room, the assistant coaches into the locker room, the people who he affected on offense, the people who he affected on defense. And then when you turn on the tape and see him play against top-flight SEC competition, this guy always showed up. Now, this really isn't a matter of, and this is something I'm sure Mike will get into. This isn't really about the evaluation of Diego Pavia.
Right.
It's about the valuation of Diego Pavia. Because the evaluation, you can't punch many holes in his game. It's how do you value him now? Where would you select him? Yeah. What is the price that you pay from a draft perspective for a guy who has not ideal physical traits, but his production and his impact on his organization in college is off the charts.
To put a ribbon on the T.J. Parker, Diego Pavia conversation, if Diego Pavia plays well from the pocket today or over the next couple days against guys that have the length and size of T.J. Parker, that's going to help him immeasurably, because one of the concerns you have is when you go up to the next level, being height deficient by NFL standards, can he make throws from the pocket? So he has a great opportunity to show people he can do that.
And he got to see some of the best athletes in the country in the SEC. He did it week in and week out, and with NFL players all around him.
And he strikes me as self-aware. He spoke with Pete Thamel yesterday for a piece that's now on ESPN.com, and Pete asked, do you expect to be drafted? He does expect to be drafted, but I think he's also self-aware enough to understand that there are people that don't know whether he will be drafted or not.
I think what you would worry about with him is this, right? So if you're going to answer to your boss as the general manager and you pick him in the first round and he doesn't work out, you're likely sitting there, looking down the gun barrel, potentially being fired, because people are going to sit there and go, well, why would you draft a guy with those traits when their history of success in the NFL is very, very limited, very, very small. Sure. It's not about the evaluation, because he showed in the SEC, Matt, he can throw over 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen and pass rushers. Yeah. I watched him play live against Missouri, who has some of the best defensive linemen in all of college football. And he was throwing the football all over the yard and scrambling all over the yard. Yeah. This kid can play. It's not that. To me, it's about the valuation part of this. Where are you comfortable drafting him so you don't set yourself up in the event that he doesn't work out for getting really scrutinized and potentially let go out of your job?
I do want to get to a quick Kesnick interview in just a minute, but quickly, give me a comp. Is it a Baker Mayfield? Is it a Russell Wilson? I'm going short quarterbacks now.
Yeah. Well, Baker was a little bit bigger, and Bryce Young was a little bit bigger. Russell Wilson is kind of a comp, but he's probably a little bit of a better foot athlete than Russell Wilson was.
Yeah, I don't have a good comp offhand. Those guys are all starting level quarterbacks, have been highly successful or were drafted very high. I love the player, enjoyed watching him at the collegiate level. I think this is probably a guy with the earliest, here's his name called later on day 3. We'll see. Maybe I'm way off there, but I think for me, if I'm coming up with a comp, I'd have to dig a little bit deeper there. Yeah.
So we've all had a chance to talk to Diego off the field before he got on today. Quint Kesnick got him right after the bus. Take a listen.
This is authentic. This is raw. We're warming up with Diego Pavia, Vandy quarterback. First of all, how would you characterize the week here in Mobile thus far?
It's honestly a blessing to be here. I thank Drew for inviting me, the Panini guys for inviting me. Super honored and blessed to be here. And I think the best thing about it is that you get to play with all-star talent. You know what I mean? Everyone around you was an all-star. it reminds me a lot of my team at Vanderbilt. Just some dogs. Like, you go in the locker room, those Texas Tech dudes are really good. Baylor, SMU. But this week has been great. Just learning a whole new playbook, an NFL playbook, NFL verbiage. Coach Ryan has done a phenomenal job teaching us 3 quarterbacks of what it's like to be an NFL quarterback. And then Coach Singleton is one of the best, and Coach Hurt. They both coach for the Eagles, so amazing to play for them.
How's the NFL ball? It's different, right?
It's like hollow, so I think it goes further, honestly.
Seems like it's fatter too, no?
Yeah, it's a little bit fatter. But I think the best thing about it is like it has no stripes, so you can't tell where the ball is really going, you know? Yeah.
You got a lot of attention when you weighed in and they took your height. And anyone who's watched you play this year knows that you're not the tallest cat in the world, but it's not about what you don't have. It's about what you have.
Right. I think it's more about limiting what you don't have and then exposing your strengths, you know, and that's how you win football games. Don't turn the ball over. Score points. I don't know what the average margin win was in the NFL, but I saw like the Giants lost by 3, like 8 times or something, you know, so like it's little margins that if people make it harder than what it is. You either got it or you don't when it comes down to it.
Great to see you. Appreciate your time. Good luck this week.
God bless everyone. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I mean, not to be cliche and control the controllables, he's not going to grow 5 inches before the draft. It is what it is. All right, some of the top overall prospects we're going to see on the national roster over the next 2 hours, of which we will bring you the practice here live on ESPN2. That's some of the guys we're going to keep an eye on. Lewis, each of you have picked a player. Who are you keeping your eye on?
Well, it's none of the guys on this list right here. You know it's going to be a Pitt player. Look, Kyle Lewis, in all seriousness, no. This is a guy who think Jalen Petrie in the NFL from the Houston Texans. That's the kind of position and the kind of utilization you'll see out of Kyle Lewis once he gets to the NFL. He measured in at 5'11", just under 2 1/4. He had 10 sacks over the past 2 years, 6 interceptions, the 2-time captain. This guy is a heck of a blitzer, a cover guy, a tackler, a space athlete. He's got great hands. He's the only one of their linebackers of the trio that they had this year who didn't have a pick 6 in his career. Fantastic player.
Guys, I'll go with Houston Astro draft pick Bruce Betcher from Eugene, Oregon, a walk-on football player for the Oregon Ducks. And guys, he just gets better and better. And he had 13 tackles against USC. I think he's a sideline-to-sideline guy. And I love players of his background. Baseball player, walk-on from his hometown. And I think he's going to be really hard to keep off the field at the next level.
Bet you're a fun guy to study for sure. Let's go to the other side of the college football map for my pick. Guard, no-nonsense player out of Georgia Tech. You know, that entire program kind of is embodied by this physical nature. We are tougher than you the moment we get off the bus. Big number 77 guard Keelan Rutledge might be the toughest that they have to offer there. This is a guy who yesterday during practice was dialing up the intensity from the jump. Now, is he going to be an ideal fit if you run a zone scheme like some of these Kyle Shanahan offenses or his disciples? Probably not. But if you play a gap power scheme, you want Keelan Rutledge as one of your starting guards. Day one, first guy off the bus. He is nasty.
Yeah, built in the eyes of his head coach, Brent Key. We've got so much. We are just getting started. Quick Keswick to the catch-up of the coaching staff coming up in just a minute as the national team practice is underway here in Mobile, Alabama.
The Panini Senior Bowl practice is brought to you by Panini, where the draft begins. Start your Panini trading card collection today by visiting www.paniniamerica.net.
Just some of the Pro Bowlers that have been here at the Senior Bowl. Bo Nix, the latest, got hurt in the playoffs this year. And speaking of the Pro Bowl, Tuesday, February 3rd, the 2026 Pro Bowl games will be held Super Bowl 60 in the center of San Francisco. Festivities featured NFC 7-on-7 flag game being the Super Bowl is held in San Francisco. Cannot wait for that. That's Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. National team coaches, as they are out there with their team right now getting ready. They've got warm-ups going on. Take a look at Clint Hurt. He's the head coach of the national team. Also a big week, guys, for these coaches to get their first look at running a roster as we go to Quint Kesnick right now, who is with the head coach, Clint Hurt.
Coach, watching you thus far today, notice you're really kind of investing in relationships. You're walking around, talking to a lot of the players. What part of the process are relationships?
That's everything. You know, if you want to be able to coach kids hard, hold them accountable. It's a relationship-based business. You know, you want to make sure the kids understand that you care about them, you know, where they're from, family backgrounds and whatnot, but also you want to invest in their future. So that's really important. I think, obviously, when I first got into it, and my coaches did that to me, you want to pour into people and show them that you have their best interest at hand.
Today's Wednesday. It's about halfway through the week. What's important in this session?
Right now, we're just in stretch, so getting them warmed up. But before this, we were just in special teams walkthroughs and OD walkthrough, and just making sure that guys can take in the information, the adjustments that have to be made, the communication with the teammates. It's an abbreviated playbook in all three phases of the game right now, so we're not really demanding a lot from them from an X and O standpoint. So we want the communication to be outstanding. And once we get into practice, we want to see these guys. The number one thing that's a non-negotiable is playing with great effort. So we want to make sure we see that, the communication continues, and guys get after the football.
How can you figure out whether a prospect loves football? They're all pretty good, but do they love football?
You see the guys who are committed to doing the right things even when they're not in meetings, you know, not when they're not scheduled to be there. And I will say this, you know, Senior Bowl did a great job of selecting some great young men that are here. Guys are attentive in meetings, everyone's taking notes, and even when they have to be there on their own. We start our team meeting every morning at 7 a.m., and guys are already walking over at 6:10, 6:15, 6:20 in the morning because they want to spend time watching extra film and things like that. So that just shows guys made of the right stuff.
Why would you hire me? Why would you draft me?
There you go. I tell them the first meeting that we had when we got here, they're on a 7-day, 24-hour job interview, you know. And so much of the game, when they get to the NFL, there's much more free time because they're no longer a student. You know, so now what are you going to do with that time? Are you going to take care of your body? Are you going to invest back in your body because that's your moneymaker? You know, how much time are you going to spend studying your craft and perfecting it? You know, just be totally, you know, committed to that. So they're off to a nice start.
Thank you, Coach. Hope to see you later in the O-line, D-line, one-on-ones. Matt.
Quint, great stuff. Thank you. That's the million-dollar question. Does he love football? We'll talk about that over the next couple of days. The next couple of hours, Team National, they're getting their stretches in. When they start practicing, we'll show you live here from Mobile, Alabama on ESPN2. Little known fact, Mardi Gras actually created here in Mobile, Alabama. Not only the draft start here in Mobile, so does Mardi Gras and the fun. As you see national team practice right now, Hancock Whitney Stadium, campus here, South Alabama, Matt Berry, Lewis Riddick, Mike Tannenbaum, Field Yates. It is in preparation of the NFL draft. Thursday, April 23rd in Pittsburgh. We'll have every pick once again on ESPN, also available on ABC and the NFL Network as ABC's coverage focuses on the prospects' journey to the draft. One of the great things about the next couple of days, prospects and coaches wired throughout practice.
All right, now let's get it. Listen, when you're in that breezeway, I feel like I'm in damn Green Bay. How my favorite specialist doing? Everybody good?
Doing all right?
I'm doing great.
That's all I like to hear.
Sam got a little spin on that ball. What's going on, boss? Good to see you. On the hop, let's go, let's go.
Put a hop.
Bend your knees, get yourself a position to make a tackle. That's a lie. High school, I was balling. I'm old now.
My helmet stripe is in his armpit. That's right, don't get too wide, don't get too tight. Get right here, we're just playing two technique. We up, boom, arm over trap. Because we crushing that gap right there, the ball gonna end up in the C gap. But today, I want that gap condensed, and y'all gotta make the plays today. We good? And let me check this out. If you take it, blow it up. Don't be half in, half out, blow it up.
Go ahead.
Hit it.
Don't worry about
good hips.
on this back.
Good hips. Like, I told you we want to work everything up the field. So I'm here. Come on my hips. Boom, boom, boom. And I work there. Everything forward. Because I'm just on my 9 line right here. That's why we had an angle. We got to condense that C gap today. Go. Yep. We set edges. Oh, we set edges. We set edges, man.
All right, so we'll have that over the next couple of days. Players, coaches alike wired throughout our practice coverage. Individual drills coming up next when we return to the Panini Senior Bowl from Mobile, Alabama. The national team getting ready to work out individuals. We'll show it to you live. All right, the national team practice underway here, Mobile, Alabama, Panini Senior Bowl. They're going through special teams right now, and we talk about the beginning of practice and the special teams reps. Now, these are invaluable, Lewis, because a lot of these guys make an NFL roster by playing special teams.
Matt, on top of that, I'm sitting here watching some of these guys who are doing some of the simulated coverages of a kickoff return. Keep in mind, for these players, we got to teach them the rules first, right? College, we got the old school kickoff. We get the dynamic kickoff now in the NFL. So these guys are accustomed to coming down, flying down from their own 30-yard line. A little bit different here. The new NFL. Another reality of this bowl game here, Matt, is that I don't know how many of some of these top flight defensive linemen were spending much time on special teams work during their college careers, right? Understandably so. They're there to rush the passer. But in the NFL, with some of the new special teams dynamics and plays, you got guys like Dennis Sutton from Penn State, top edge rusher for them, who's down here covering kicks. TJ Parker, we talked about him already, from Clemson. Don't know how many Clemson kicks he had to cover during his time there, and this is the reality of this week, is everybody's got to chip in to make this game happen.
And Lewis, not sure if you can hear me now, but we were just talking about special teams a moment ago, of how invaluable this is, because guys make 53-man rosters by playing special teams.
No, look, there's no question. Look, that really embodied my career, quite honestly. Played majority of my career on special teams as a four-phase contributor. It really is. Look, we saw it play out in the latter stages of the NFL season, just how important special teams are to determine the outcome of games, especially when you get into the postseason. And these guys need to understand the value of that third phase and what it can mean to your career and the longevity of your career if you are not a top 22, top 30 player on an NFL roster. It's something that you have to put in the time, you have to invest in, you have to embrace. And coaches and GMs are looking for guys who are willing to embrace that role.
We talk about it all the time. Speaking of embracing a role, Quint Kesnick, always a well-run event here in Mobile under new leadership this year. All right, so we're having a couple of technical difficulties.
Quint, where are you?
Yeah, he's here. He was doing the interview. We just
I know.
having some frequency issues here in Mobile in the early part of practices. Now we're going to go into individual position workouts. I've got my eyes on Mike Tannenbaum, Field Yates with the quarterback, Sawyer Robertson, quarterback for Baylor. He's in the shotgun lined up with the running backs right now. Lewis, you're down in the offensive line pit. What do you keep an eye on down there in the offensive line pit?
There's some good-looking dudes down here. Some guys who, fortunately for me, I got to see over the past couple of years live. You know, starting with Keelan Rutledge, the fantastic guard/center from Georgia Tech. Brent Key, the head coach of Georgia Tech, is down here in the end zone watching him. And he said he's one of the best players that he's ever coached in his entire coaching career, which is huge considering some of the guys that he has had under his tutelage. I mean, when you think of Sam Hecht, who comes out of Kansas State, another fantastic player, Cage Casey, Boise State. These guys, they look the part. All of them look the part down here. We say it all the time, man. We say it all the time. November, December, January football, offensive and defensive line play. That is where the money is made. And quite honestly, this group, along with the primary pass rushers, when they get together, we say it every year, you will see every eyeball in this stadium on these two position groups, because everyone knows that they determine your success and failure outside of quarterback more so than any position group, offensive and defensive line.
All right, so we called a 30-second timeout with Quint Kesnick. I'm going to tee him up again. Quint, always a great leadership here at the Senior Bowl under new leadership this year, and it's already still a well-oiled machine.
And Drew Fabianich is the new executive director. Congratulations, first of all, and you got a beautiful day.
Thank you, absolutely. I'm thrilled to death to be here, and I think the league actually thrilled to death with the weather right now.
You said to me you kind of hold your breath, you turn and watch and hold your breath, but are you actually assessing your own picks and your own choices for the players who are here?
You know, somewhat, yes. I mean, really, I just want to see how they're going to compete against the best. I kind of know what every player is. I've got a gauge of where I think they're going to go in the draft, and there's a reason why they're here, because they excelled at their position, they excelled, as it's a football player. That's why they're here at the Senior Bowl, because it is the premier all-star game. Always has been, always will be.
What's the biggest challenge for you when you put together the two rosters?
You know, probably just making sure that we actually probably over-invite a little bit. Just because, you know, there's training, you know, the training facility accidents, there's issues with long-standing injuries. You know, the playoffs hurt some of the players that were coming, because some of those guys played for 27 straight weeks and had 1 week off. You know, and I get it for why they didn't, want to come compete here, because it's too long of a season for them. So that's the biggest challenge, Quinn.
People used to come down to Mobile and see obscure helmets. Now with the transfer portal, we're not seeing that quite as much.
No, matter of fact, and again, I was a GM in college for a while. Guys like me now are taking all those Division II, 1AAs, the FCS, those players, and they're pulling them up into P4. Well, I mean, we only looked at maybe 20 to 24 players that were below P4. And in the past, when I was with the Cowboys, it was more like about 50 to 60. And we do have a couple of obscure helmets here now, just a couple. We got Dartmouth, and we got John Carroll, and Stephen F. Austin. So there's a few. But like you said, the number's gone down because they're cherry-picking all those players, especially when they have a need. It's just like pro free agency in a way.
When you rank and grade this group, this class, what position group stands out? Maybe what position group here in Mobile do you think is exceptional?
The defensive ends, hands down, not even close. I think the corners are also stronger than people think. And I brought in a lot of long corners that can run and cover. And are they number ones? I don't know. They could be. But I know they're at least number 2 corners and number 3 corners in the league. So I think that's 2 positions that are strong. And the defensive ends everybody knows about in the league. I mean, it's a high volume of guys that could go first all the way through the 4th. And they're all solid rushers.
Thank you, Drew. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all the work you do behind the scenes to get to the stage.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me. Okay. Good.
Quint, good stuff. Thank you. You hit it on the head. The behind-the-scenes work to put this week on is one of the more impressive feats to get everyone here. We're standing now back by the quarterback, Sawyer Robertson. We talked about Cole Payton. He's taking some reps right now. Diego Pavia, one of the other quarterbacks, getting the work in with the receivers and the tight ends. It's air. You're going to succeed with air with these quarterbacks running these routes. But early on, Mike Tannenbaum, what are you keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I like Sawyer Robertson. Again, we're just kind of in warm-ups here, and the ball should not hit the ground. But you want to talk about bloodlines. His father was a first-round pick of the Montreal Expos. His cousin is Jarrett Stidham, who just played in the AFC Championship game. I like his size. I like his release. He had a productive season this year, Matt. 31 touchdowns, only 12 interceptions. So, again, we talked about the unevenness of this quarterback class. Someone like Sawyer Robertson, if he strings together a couple of good practices, can help himself. Again, there's a lot to work with just given his size and his movement skills.
I was talking to Lewis about Robertson before practice. I'm like, keep an eye on him, because every time I watch a Baylor game on Saturday, and they'd be down by 14 points in the 4th quarter, he'd bring them back, and they would end up winning the game. The kid can throw the ball. He's a good-looking kid, good size. He's going to be someone that these scouts keep an eye on.
Yeah, without question, because he has things you can't coach, which is size. Last year we talked a lot about Tyler Shugg, and I'm not saying it's exactly the same comp, but, that sort of player, that big, make all the throws. I think he has good movement skills. Again, I want to see him this week under pressure. I want to see him throwing to receivers he's not familiar with. And again, I give all these players, especially the quarterbacks, a lot of credit for showing up.
Didn't even last an hour until we brought up Tyler Shugg. Lewis is senior.
I'm listening. As soon as he said that, my antenna went up.
We're only like 2 hours from New Orleans.
But
make a drive, right?
But this was a guy Lewis ID'd a year ago out of the quarterback class, just from this week, and there was a lot going on during the season. You can see it as well, Lewis. But this was a big week for him last year. You ID'd it. He stepped up. Now the starter in New Orleans.
Yeah, the thing that he did well, just like when we were down here and we watched Bo Nix, right? We watched Bo Nix in this environment. We watched Jackson Dart in this environment. These guys were able to download the information and really be able to put it into actionable use very seamlessly. Take the coaching that they were being given, upload it, use it in real time, and continually progress throughout the course of the week. Those are the things that everyone loves to see as evaluators. Guys be able to take large quantities, large volumes of information, apply it on the football field, make people around you better, hold people accountable. You know, as the coaches were saying, as Clint Hurt was saying, this is a 7-day, 24-hour-a-day job interview. And that's what Tyler Shuck did when he was here. That's what all the quarterbacks who wind up coming out of here with improved draft stock do. That's what all the players who come out of here with improved draft stock do. That's why this is one of the coolest events that we cover.
Lou, is Tyler joining us for dinner tonight?
Is what?
Is he joining us for dinner tonight?
No, you know, he's got other things to do. But I'll text him, you know, just check in on him.
We have also talked about in the past, Matt Barry, how for the quarterbacks, there are things that they're going to be asked to do this week that might be, and I'm not exaggerating, the first time they've been asked to do those things in years, right? One of the things that we talked about last year at this time was how few reps Jackson Dart had taken from under center during his Ole Miss portion of his college career, especially, where he was an exclusively shotgun quarterback. So this week, sometimes just getting guys in and out of the huddle is a little bit different for quarterbacks. Maybe call things a little bit differently. This is not exactly rocket science on some of these, you know, play calls that they're going to be handed from their coordinators throughout the week. But there are some fundamentals that just sort of showing, as Lewis said, that you can download it all, process it all, and get communicated and lined up is a pretty decent start.
There's the word. When I talk to college coaches throughout the season, and we sit there in our meetings, and even today, there's a bunch out here. Rhett Lashley's out here, Brent
Joe
Key's
McGuire,
out here,
yep.
Joey McGuire's out here. We caught up with him. What we talk about, Mike Elko, head coach Texas A&M. We talk with these coaches, and the word that they use is process. How does the quarterback process? You could have all the skills in the world, gentlemen, but how do you process?
Yeah, because again, for our audience, when there's 15 seconds or less on the clock, the coach to quarterback communication in the NFL is shut off, and that's why you see teams want to get to the line of scrimmage so the coach can talk to them. But once that's shut off, you want to be able to have the answers to the test and know where you're going with the ball, and that's why this week's so important to be in the meetings with these guys. And look, Lewis did a great job identifying Tyler Shuck a year ago, but that's one of the benefits of being down here is these coaches will be around the players, and they'll understand their acumen. And when you're in the draft room and we talk about the value of the Senior Bowl, that can make the difference and break a tie between two quarterbacks.
And you know what's interesting? You talked about the helmet communication. There are those in college football when you're scouting other teams, they'll tell you, a lot of these coaches tell the quarterback where to go with the ball early on. And so how do you do it on your own remains to be seen. I do want to get this in really quick as they get to individual one-on-one drills, which will show you in its entirety the 39th annual WWE Royal Rumble set for Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Two-time champion Cody Rhodes is going to be there. Stream it exclusively on ESPN Unlimited plan, live or on demand using the ESPN app. Sign up or log in with your TV provider.
I got Roman Reigns winning it all.
And you
Rhea
know,
Ripley as well.
Clearly.
You know what's interesting about this event, right? There's certain position groups that sometimes get a little bit glossed over because we always get enamored with the quarterbacks, offensive line, defensive line. One of those positions a lot of times happens to be off-ball linebackers. But let me tell you, this group here, on this squad right here, is a hell of a group. Between Elam Zora from TCU, Kyle Lewis from Pitt, Jacob Rodriguez, Bryce Betcher, this is a damn good group. And I'll tell you right now, the coaching staff just told me, look, Kyle Lewis yesterday was as impressive as anybody that they had on the defensive side of the football. These guys are making a lot of money in the NFL now because of all the different things they ask him to do. Rodriguez is one of the best in college football. And Kyle Lewis, I know people are going to say I'm a little biased. Pitt Panther.
That's fine.
But he can play.
But you know Pitt
he can
football.
play, and we need to keep an eye on this group overall this week.
We mentioned Joey McGuire. We spent about 10 minutes with him prior to the show today, and we were asking about all his players that he has here at the Senior Bowl. Rodriguez was one of them. I said, hey, what do you think about this guy in terms of the NFL? He said, probably mid-round pick, and I said, but he's going to start for 15 years, isn't he? He goes, you have no idea how good of a football player he will be at the next level.
I mean, this position is critical because of the way in which offenses attack you. With multiple tight end positions, multiple tight end personnel groupings, try to attack the middle of the field like that right there. And Kyle Lewis just got beat by the tight end from TCU. But I tell you, you have to have guys who are great athletes, multi-tool athletes playing this position now if you're going to have a top-level defense.
Yeah, body type has changed a little bit. That inside linebacker position, just looking across the line of scrimmage right now and talking about some of the players that we've already discussed. Kyle Lewis, who I think a lot of people in the scouting community think will become a safety at the NFL level, played obviously linebacker at Pitt. Bryce Betcher, we talked about him in the open, the former baseball player. turned rangy sideline to sideline backer here. So it's a little bit of an evolving position given how offenses have also evolved.
So body type now, you're saying maybe a little, I don't want to use the word slender, but a little more looking like safeties.
Well, let's just say you better be able to run and you better have lateral change of direction and fluidity because of how great the athletes are on the offensive side of football and how much they try to stretch you horizontally and vertically. Look, Kyle Lewis, to me, he's going to be – look, I think Jalen Petrie is a great comp. It's a great comp because that's basically the position that he played at Pitt, which is kind of like the star position, like the nickel position, but you can put him in the box. Taron Johnson, think about Taron Johnson. How do they use him in Buffalo? He's ideal for that kind of role, and things are getting heated up down here in the one-on-ones.
We all turned around at the same time as we're headed to the pit, where you'll see a circle of humanity.
That was a Pavlovian response right there. Dog sees meat or something. Huh?
Inside the gladiator pit, where there's going to be one-on-ones with offensive and defensive linemen. This is really where you learn a lot about the guys.
Look at all the people here.
Yeah, Matt, it's pretty competitive already down here.
So they're doing a run blocking at the moment. We'll take a listen. And
those two Iowa offensive linemen, I mean, they majored in this. This is poetry in motion for these guys, watching them run block.
This is what Iowa does, right? They play defense, they run the ball, special teams. I mean, just watching here, John Lynch, San Francisco personnel. I mean, the NFL personnel, Lewis, they understand building through the trenches is how you get to the playoffs and eventually a Super Bowl.
Since football's been being played, this is where the game starts. Everyone knows it. And that's why all the top decision makers, they all kind of flock to this position right now. And as this week goes on, it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, especially when they start pass rushing.
Who do you remember from last year that really helped themselves that might do the same this year up front?
Oh, man. I think the guys who came down here that really that stood out for me, like remember when Leatu was down here pass rushing and people couldn't touch him. They simply could not touch him. He was just so smooth, efficient with his hands. Like I remember years ago, when Aaron Donald was here.
How do you look?
It was like, okay. I mean,
he's different.
It was, but what I'm saying is, like, and it's amazing that Aaron still went as low in the first round as what he did, even after the performance he had here, which is kind of the conversation we were having about Diego Pavia, right? His production was off the charts, but people were scared about some of his measurables. Well, you can see just how sometimes that can mess you up a little bit. You got to trust what you see on tape.
Mike Tannenbaum, these Iowa guys are nasty.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's
like
a bunch of them
lines,
that are big and nasty here. Dunker just came out. James Dunker had a couple really good reps so far. Again, this is just run drills, which is going to do well for these guys from Iowa. But,
let's listen in to some of the coaches.
I think he's
Get money.
one of my favorite linemen, just the way he's built. Good lower body flexibility. He's had a good day and a half so far.
Just don't turn and create a vertical seat.
I'm moving, I know. Yeah. Hey, look. Thank you. Yeah. But I want pop. I need a little more pop. I like it, though. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. You did your job. Yeah. I want you to dominate. Gotcha. Got me? Come on. You want a 3-tag rep? Come on. Hey, Cole, you want a 3-tag rep? Good, we get one. We get one out. Yep. Hell no. Where we at? Coach, I get a 3-tag me rep. He wanted a 3 rep.
That was Lee Hunter right there. You saw on that first rep, or that last rep, excuse me.
Come on, get off the rock.
Texas Tech, certainly a guy that made his money
He
in
wants
college.
get off the rock.
Being an excellent run defender. A strong day yesterday, though, collapsing the pocket during some of those one-on-one drills.
All right, so again, individuals.
How about this one coming up right here? We've got Daryl Jackson, who showed up today. Big, long, gigantic defensive tackle from Florida State. Going up against Delby Lemieux. Looks like Carver Willis as well. Delby, of course, from Dartmouth College, known football factory, Matt Berry.
Of course.
That's the beauty of this week.
It's
Ivy Leaguers versus ACCs.
But we talked about it in the opening of the show. That's where they get an opportunity to show themselves, to play up, to put to bed the notion that they didn't play competition throughout the season. They get an opportunity this week in front of scouts to do the same.
So
we've got so much to get to.
From small
we have
schools,
an hour
Quinn
and a half
Miners.
left, or about an hour plus left of team national practice. We've got the American practice coming up tonight. We're doing that today. We're doing it again tomorrow, all culminating in the Senior Bowl this weekend. So we are going now to team drills coming up when we return to the Panini Senior Bowl in Mobile. Be it a college football practice, but we are in the middle of the NBA season tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. The fun gets started. Lakers at Cavs. Spurs Rockets. The nightcap coverage tips off at 6 p.m. Eastern with NBA Countdown. Is now team drills are happening during the national team practice here in Mobile. And gentlemen, biggest thing during this session, Lewis, I'll start with you, is what?
Look, obviously here, when you're talking about 11-on-11 ball, all the different things that you learn in individual that you then get in some, kind of like position-specific group install. Now 11-on-11, you have to tie it all together. So you want to see how these guys play with 10 other guys on the football field. Are they able to carry out their assignments? Are they able to read, run, pass, come off the ball, offensive lineman, clean quarterback center exchanges, all of it. This is the game. All the things they're teaching you in the individual drills in the classroom, can you put it together out here?
Is this, Mike T, is this where the quarterbacks can start putting stuff on tape for the assembled NFL personnel?
Yeah, without question. Again, some of these guys you want to see from the pocket. Field alluded to it earlier, Matt, about being under center, which sounds very fundamental, but a lot of these guys haven't done it. And again, we talked about Diego Pavia's size. These are great reps for him to see how he could do, from the pocket.
Yeah, speaking of size here, Mike T, one of the things that we talked about earlier is just getting body types on some of these players. I mean, Demetrius Crownover, he's playing left tackle right now in this drill zone. Right tackle, Texas A&M. I mean, this guy is gigantic. He's like the size of a small house. Maybe he might be the size of one of Matt Berry's houses, actually. I said houses, plural.
This is as good of a group of off-ball linebackers as you've seen here in quite some time. Just keep an eye on these guys overall. Kyle Lewis, Rodriguez, Betcher. Fantastic key and diagnose, fantastic instincts, movement.
Oh,
it's just textbook, the stuff that these guys are showing. I know it's early on, but they look very, very sharp.
About the conversation we had a moment ago about quarterbacks getting under center. Story about that with our former colleague Dan Mullen. We would be in studio on Saturdays and we would yell at the TV when on a 4th and short they'd get out of the shotgun and we'd sit there, we'd be like, get under center. Mullen looked at me dead in the eye. He goes, they don't teach them that. We don't teach them that in college. And that's a successful offensive head coach. So to your guys' point, there are things in the NFL that are going to be foreign to some of these college quarterbacks that have been playing football their entire life.
And here, and Matt, it's about being able to continually develop your game and do some things that you haven't done in the past because of the things that you're required to do at the NFL level. We've seen other quarterbacks come here and make that transition, have to learn 3, 5, 7-step drop, be efficient with their ball handling, play action fakes, all of that stuff. Bo Nix, when he came here, that was one of the things that people were wondering about here as you see the defense celebrating a big play. And this defense is flying around now. This may be an early, just kind of thud-up type of 11-on-11 period, but these guys are bringing the pads now. These Texas Tech defenders are fired up. Romello Height, Rodriguez, these guys are flying around.
That was a Adam Randall fumble, the running back from Clemson, converted wide receiver. This is another guy that has to prove that he could play in the next level at a relatively new position. But Lewis, to your point, what was Texas Tech's calling card all year? Defense, and they take pride in that, and they're showing it again here today.
Oh yeah, they don't know what thud really means. These guys are trying to take guys to the ground now.
Here you go, 11. Here you go, there's the ball. Get it set, get it set.
I want you to go in there, and then you can punch the ball, too. Keep your head up. Hey,
You stack right close, leader Y slam Z insert.
51 plug. Under 51 plug.
Come on. Let's clean it up.
Okay.
Come on, attack that line of scrimmage. We're
A little familiar face right there from Sawyer Robertson to his teammate Josh Cameron.
Yeah.
Big physical wide receiver, punt return duties as well. Got to hold on to the football a little better. Josh Cameron had 4 fumbles this past season, but when the ball is in his hands and he keeps his hands on it, pretty electric with the ball in space.
He's like a running back playing wide receiver, man.
Big, powerful, good contact balance.
Yeah, you just want to get him the ball as quickly as possible. Don't have him doing too much as far as route variation. Just get him the rock.
I'll tell you what, guys, Jacob Rodriguez, just watching from behind here, he's calling everything out. He is going to be a green dot at the next level, meaning he'll be the coach to defender in terms of calling out the singles and the plays. He's had a couple of really good reps so far.
Guys, I'm telling you, I think it's the 4th year I've been here with you guys. I can't remember the last time I've seen a team practice this fast, this hard, and this physical. I mean, it's almost like they're playing each other.
You're right. Oh, they've got it tuned up right away. They've got it tuned up. Watch how this defense is practicing turnover creation, ball disruption, how they're punching at this football. Look how they're putting their pads on these runners. And as you saw, a very, very good runner in Katron Allen, how he just burst through there on that inside zone. Some quality players down here, man.
A little miscommunication there in the snap. Worth noting, Keelan Rutledge is currently at center. He, of course, Georgia Tech guard normally, so that's one of the realities of this week is guys are trying a few different positions out, especially along the offensive line, but perhaps a little bit green there as you saw that everybody but the center penalty.
And guys, remember the depth we had at running back last year, and we're seeing it again. Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton, these two guys could have started on their own in any program in the country, and they both stayed at Penn State.
Yeah, and they each bring something a little bit different. I'm really interested to see both of them this week, but I think Katron Allen in particular really has really good running skills. I think this environment will be ideal for what he can do. I think both these guys will be off the board at some point in day 2, but I'm glad they both didn't transfer, and it says a lot that they're both here this week.
Look, I think every year, we wind up saying, man, look at this guy, look at that guy, look at this guy. But there are some very, very good football players down here. I mean, here's a guy who most people who follow college football may not have heard his name very much, but Bud Clark, the safety from TCU, number 21 back here. As good of instincts as any safety in the country. This dude is a ball hawk. I promise you he'll get his hands on the ball here sooner or later. Like right there.
Speaking of, don't you love it when it
I'll tell you what, guys, that was a heck of a throw by Clark Payton.
Kid, Bud Clark, is the prototype free safety in the NFL, and he's got one of the great personalities. Big, giant smile on his face all the time, high degree of football intelligence. He's going to play his rear end off at the NFL level.
A little pressure applied on Cole Payton by Ben from Utah, brother of Spencer Fano. Probably be a top 10 pick at worst in this upcoming draft.
Cole Payton is Mike Tannenbaum's camp crush early.
Absolutely. I mean, look, that wasn't a completion map, but that wasn't on him. That was a great throw in traffic.
Ooh, boy.
Tell you what, this is.
I'll tell you, the hair is standing up on the back of my neck the way these guys are hitting.
Another team.
All right, so they're at a team drill now. We got Diego Pavia mic'd up. We're gonna have him. We're gonna listen to his play calls again. We talked about it earlier in practice. Process, understanding, quarterback conceptualizing the offensive play that's given to them, and then executing it at the line of scrimmage.
All right, here we go now. Stack left, 3-jet, Y out, drive, burst.
Left 3, Y out, drive, burst.
Y out, drive, burst.
All right, that's Sawyer Robertson. He is up first for Baylor.
11, 11, 11! Snug left, 36, Y stutter bluff.
Snug left, 36, Y stutter bluff.
Snug left.
On one, ready.
In and out, in and out, in and out. Let's go, set the tone.
So go.
They go play 3, play 3.
Zane Durant right in the middle of that one there. Undersized defensive tackle from Penn State. Has some disruption skills, though.
Hey,
Dice right, playing behind the line of scrimmage there.
Z dragon lion, Y over, H flat. Dice right, 200 scat, Z dragon lion, Y over, H flat.
Here we go. We got dice right, 200 scat, Z dragon lion, Y over H flat.
Here we go. We got to roll. Now you got to roll. Play clock, play clock, play clock.
That's a good catch. Ooh.
Here we go. 12, 12, 12. Let's go. Let's roll. Let's roll.
Guys,
you flank right, 200 chip, X quick out spacing.
You know this more than I do, but is the D-line winning this right now, Lewis?
That's the way it's supposed to be, especially when you're in an all-star game where, look, as a defender, you're just trying to get off the ball and create havoc. These offensive linemen, you know how it goes. All 5 of them trying to get to know one another, they're going to be behind a little bit. That's a good rep. That's first down throw.
Going back to 35.
Well, you heard Drew Fabianich when he was talking with Quint Kesnick earlier. It's like the defensive linemen here are elite.
Mm-hmm. They have got some dudes who are big and powerful, can push the pocket on the inside, speed on the outside, and they're playing hard, Matt. Just watch them. They're just playing hard.
All right, so the national practice is off and running. Cole Payton, the quarterback right now. We're going to come back when Diego Pavia takes the reins for the national team here in Mobile. Senior Bowl here in Mobile. The practice for the national team is underway. And gentlemen, Mike Tannenbaum, Lewis Riddick, Field Yates, and Matt Berry. It's
under siege.
It's absolute chaos out here right now because there is actual, real, intense football being played.
Look, the defense is setting the tone here. There's no question. Look, defense is highly emotional. It's visceral.
Snug
it's
left,
running and hitting. And these guys are doing just that. Just look at the number of defenders who try to punch the ball.
Get out there. Let's go.
Every single play.
We got snug left, 3 trip.
Just watch that on
dart,
defensive
on 1-on-1. Ready? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
For those
let's
that
go.
caught it just prior to.
Snug. It's a hut. Little Ernie. Blitz hot.
Positive yards. Nice. Let's go, let's go, let's go. 11, 11, 11. Got a long one here. Stack left close. 2 jet lick. F deep mesh. Y shallow burst.
Let's go. We got stack left close. 2 jet rib. F deep mesh. Y shallow burst. On 1-on-1. Ready? Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. CD, you're off. Help on this motherfucker from Clemson. It's hot. Blue lady. Let's hot.
Boy, that pocket closed on him fast.
Yeah, you know, Pavia might have found his way out of that sack there, given his scramble ability, but that's just another under siege rep from this defensive line. Now, we're talking about some high caliber players out there. Lee Hunter had a great 2 days. Yep. Yeah, Lee Hunter from Texas Tech, who had just a sack and a half this past year, 2.5 sacks, excuse me. Not known for his pass rush ability coming into this week, perhaps, but has really had an effective day and a half so far getting after quarterbacks.
These are big reps, too, for Diego Pavia here for the 2nd day in a row. He's running 3rd with this unit.
The airmail there, not really close to the target, but defense has some good coverage there.
I mean, look, you gotta keep this all in context, especially with these quarterbacks, right? I mean, obviously you want to see there be steady, gradual improvement, but look, right now, I mean, these guys they're trying to upload a lot of information. This defensive line is just absolutely terrorizing right now. You just want to see him make gradual, steady improvement, and hopefully in the football game he's able to really put it all together. But there's no doubt that the front 7 is running this practice right now.
Let's go, let's go. Lock in.
I'll tell you what, guys, I'd love to see Pavia pull one of these zone reads and see him with the ball in the perimeter. That's going to have to be part of his game at the next level.
Oh, it's only a matter of time for Pavia keeps the ball in his hands.
Oh, yeah. It may not be the design of it down here, but he might still do it anyways.
It's going to have to be part of his game at the next level.
I know I remark on this, and as we wrap up the team drills, water break for these guys for a minute. That team period over the last 15 minutes was fly around football, good on good.
Yeah, no question.
And the intensity's ratcheted up, no doubt about that.
No question. Look, I think was it Quint who was asking the question of Clint Hurt? Like, how do you figure out if guys love football? That's one of the ways that you find out when you put them in 11 on 11 and you turn them loose. Just what kind of competitive character do they show? What kind of enthusiasm do they show? Are they trying to execute the techniques that you teach them? And are they trying to do it with a lot of just ferocious violence, football violence? This defense, man, that's pretty good right there.
And for a Wednesday,
that's pretty good.
For a Wednesday, this is way above par.
Yeah.
Way above par. From quarterback center exchanges to getting in and out of the huddle to legal procedures to organization. Really, really impressive on a Wednesday.
One of the cool things is, look, all 3 of us, and that was Quint Kesnick just talking right there, Matt, like all 3 of us have gone on the road during the fall and watched these guys and be able to talk to their coaches and all. It's not really a big surprise that you're seeing some of these players play with the kind of intensity that they're playing with, because we saw it in the fall.
That's right.
And all they're doing now you see a whole bunch of them together. You expect it to be high-level football.
And it's going to continue to be high-level football here on ESPN2, the national team practicing. We've still got 45 minutes of this coming up. More team, more individual drills. We'll follow the quarterbacks. We'll tell stories. We've got that more continuing here on ESPN2, Panini Senior Bowl.
Great cracker place. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Great cracker place. Hey, boy, I want you to go in there, and then you can punch the ball, too.
Keep your head up. Show up! Show up! Ball! 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 Ah! Ah! Let's go! Yeah! Let's go, boys! Let's go! Let's go! Boom! Hey, that's a takeaway! Let's go! Let's go! Hey! Yeah! Yeah! Come on, Bud! Hey, come on, Bud! Stop playing! Stop playing, Bud! Yeah, Bud!
Live coverage continues. The national team practice here in Mobile, Alabama. Panini Senior Bowl this weekend. Today we are giving you 2 hours of each practice access. We've got coaches mic'd up. We've got players mic'd up. They're going to get ready for one-on-ones in just a minute, so I'm going to whip around while we're doing this. Mike Tannenbaum, I'm going to start with you. Your impressions of this practice so far, about an hour and 15 minutes in.
To how competitive it is and how good the defense is rallying to the ball, and I think that's a big credit to Clint Hurt. You know, everyone knows about the weather situation that's been across the country. A lot of flights had to be changed, a lot of changes to the bottom end of the roster, but to be candid, you would have no idea being out here for, you know, a padded practice on a Wednesday, Matt, in the middle of Mobile in late January. Really impressed by the number of turnovers the defense has caused and the tempo they're playing with.
Field, what about you?
Yeah, the defensive intensity certainly has stood out so far throughout this practice, and I would just say the overall pace has definitely stood out. Quint was talking about it a minute ago. For a Wednesday, to see things operating this efficiently certainly has been notable so far, and you know, the offense, I would say generally speaking, and we see this during the season in the NFL as well. It feels like defenses come along a little bit further, faster than the offenses do. That's been reflected this week. We are now fired up, though, for one-on-ones, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Get ready to crank it up down here.
Lewis?
Yeah, it's the instincts of the off-ball linebackers in particular. I mean, it's the hardest position to play from a mental and physical perspective combined, because you're constantly in conflict, trying to stop the run, trying to defend the pass. So things happen so fast. This group here for the national team is as good as I've seen.
All right, let's go back into the pit now. One-on-one. This will be the pass rush version of this drill. It's about to get good. And it's been good already for the first hour and 15 minutes.
Some familiar foes right there. Zane Durant, Bo Stevens, one of 2 Iowa offensive linemen. It's the good stuff. Here we go. Texas Tech versus Dartmouth. Heck yeah. Not a bad rep right there for Delby Lemieux.
Field, his name escapes me. We were here last year. Offensive lineman, North Dakota State.
Gray Zabel, baby, playing in the Super Bowl.
With him, yep. But that really is the great part of this week. Everyone IDs someone, and you kind of just start following their journey. You don't see them much during the season. You know, you pick up on a couple of guys this week, and then you do. You watch them get drafted. You watch them through mini camp, training camp, and then, as you just said, Field, one of the guys that we really liked last year playing in the Super Bowl.
And I remember perception-wise, Matt, Gray Zabel came into the week as like, yeah, could this guy maybe like, you know, top of the second round, late first? Ends up going 17th overall. Man, Jennings Dunker from Iowa is just so steady right there, man. Does such a good job of just steering rushers past the quarterback.
I mean, I know it sounds simple. Why doesn't everyone just draft an offensive lineman from Iowa?
That's a good call. I mean, history would say they're kind of on your side, right? They got a center coming out this year as well, really good player. When in doubt, draft Iowa offensive lineman. Daryl Jackson, as we mentioned, came down today, Matt Berry. So the guy's fresh off the airplane and already getting pass rush reps. 35+ inch arms. He's got traits on traits.
I can't swing a golf club after a 3-hour flight, much less get down here and practice at a high level of football.
We are built different than these guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's
for those wondering at home.
Obvious statement of the day. Mike Tannenbaum, you're down one-on-one with the receivers and DBs, quarterbacks throwing the ball. What have you seen so far?
Yep. Nate Berkacher, tight end, Nebraska transfer, has probably had the catch of the week so far. Right down the seam. Again, it's early here in the week, but Really like Sawyer Robertson, the way he's throwing the ball here. Very accurate. Again, it should be. It's one-on-one. But I think of all the passers right now, he's throwing it the most consistently.
I know we went back full to the pit there for just a moment ago, but Jordan Hudson, receiver, SMU, just put a move on his DB in front of his college coach, Rhett Lashley, who was here. And I saw Rhett getting some cell phone video of that. But this is also a good week for the college coaches to return, and primarily, gentlemen, because this isn't their week. This is the NFL's week. So these coaches just sit back, relax, cheer on their guys. They come talk to us about their season. They come hang out. I mean, this is just as good a week for college coaches from a just sit back and watch standpoint rather than evaluate.
There's a stone wall presented by Keelan Rutledge in the last rep here.
Yo, if he makes the move full-time to center, he'll be an all-pro. He's a block of granite.
His coach, Brent Key, in attendance. He knows better than anyone, as being an offensive lineman at Georgia Tech. Built his team through that vision, watching one of his stars out here perform for the NFL. All right, now you see the 3 box. We've now added the running back and linebacker one-on-ones. Lewis, you were talking about body type a while ago with linebackers, primarily because these running backs in the NFL now coming out of the backfield. We're going to see which of these guys can cover a running back in these drills.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, you have to be able to one-on-one on third down. Be able to play some one-on-one coverage. And you see Jacob Rodriguez. Look, he's just a fantastic athlete. You can see him in the individual drills, how this guy tracks the football, catches the football. He's just smooth, springy, light on his feet. Betcher's just a good instinctive off-ball backer. Come downhill. You see, this is just a great matchup right here. It's a great matchup. A little bit of a cheat as far as grabbing him around the waist, but you see he tried to play an inside leverage on that little option route.
Oh, great play.
Get the offhand hand in there. I mean, this is a good group, man. This is a really good group. And the guy who's about to come up, Caleb Elarms-Orr from TCU, they call him, I mean, I think his nickname down there was the coach or the general, something like that. They used to call him down at TCU because he's like an extension of the coaching staff on the field. Super smart, thick, strong, can run. Let's see how he does against Adam Randall here.
Who converted receiver to running back.
You just heard, by the way, some
that is perfect. That is perfect. That is perfect right there. I hope we had the camera on that because that's perfect one-on-one coverage. He's not in phase. You see, he was running. I was standing right here. He's running, looking in the eyes of Adam Randall. Doesn't try and turn his head back, which is a mistake if you do when you're not in phase. Punches the pocket, gets the ball out. That's like perfect coverage.
Field, we did hear the whoop. What was going on over there in your area?
We were just talking about Daryl Jackson from Florida State, who showed up earlier today. And what would be the reverse of a pancake? Let's take a look at this one here, going up against Bo Stevens from Iowa.
You know how we feel about Iowa offensive linemen. He just boat raced him. All right, so we're back live in the pit.
More of our guy, Keelan Rutledge, coming up, playing his natural right guard spot here.
How valuable is that for a guy to be able to go right guard and center?
Yeah, Matt, I mean, it's especially, I mean, you just think about in the NFL, it just presents such a higher floor, right? I mean, if you're not a starter, which I believe Keelan Rutledge is at the NFL level, but if you're not a starter, the fact that you have 3-position backup versatility, I mean, how many NFL teams right now are successful that don't have offensive line depth? Not too many.
And Lewis, you said he would be an all-pro if he moved to center full-time.
I absolutely think he would be. I mean, look, obviously he'd be more protected at center than he would at guard. At guard, you're going to go get some very good 3 techniques. You can get on that edge and get upfield, but it's something he'll get better at. The guy is a block of granite. He will kill you in the run game. Brent Key loves him, has all the right makeup. You can't go wrong.
Hey guys, down here in the one-on-ones, Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll. Someone Field talked about in the open, just maybe the catch of the day. Yeah, you got a replay on this?
Yep, they're showing it now.
Yeah. So Tyron Montgomery, number 7 from John Carroll, who had 15 touchdowns this season, just high pointing the ball in the end zone, contested catch. What a great play, great body control. Lot of people, he's going to get noticed based on that play.
All right, so now we're in team period 3rd down. This is the down
Gotta have it.
any drive that you have to win a ball game, to get points, to do whatever. This is the down, gentlemen, and now we're going to see who's got more in them, the defense or the offense. Love 3rd down team period.
Certainly thinking a decent amount of passing situation, although this is been one play that we'll see right off the rip.
Tell you what, Matt, you could just see Cole Payton as a left-handed quarterback trying to get under center and hand the ball off with his offhand. I know it sounds like a little thing, but these are some of the things that they're working through this week. But it's good that he'll have that on tape before the draft.
I don't even know if we have anybody mic'd up on the field right now, but it is just loud. On this field pre-snap.
That's right.
Everybody's talking.
The coaches are hollering, they're sprinting. I mean,
defensive communication, though, it's not just one guy. Talked about the green dot play earlier. Everybody is out there. There we go, D3 superstar, John Carroll's finest.
You know,
have himself a day.
That's what I love. That was a North Dakota State quarterback to a John Carroll receiver. The reason I love that is we talked about it at the beginning of the show. The smaller school guys, not only do they have to show that they belong, they have to do a little bit more. And so far, these guys have done a little bit more.
Matt, I'll tell you, that play he made in the end zone, everyone's going to see it on tape. It's exactly what you want. Body control, high point, great hands.
There we go, 3rd and 6 here in this play, 3rd and 6. Perhaps some miscommunication there between Cole Payton and the receiver.
3rd and 8, 21.
I can tell you this, a little bit better throw. Bud Clark is picking that ball off. He jumped that thing from the get-go.
3rd and 8, so we're thinking pass here, obviously. Good rep opportunity for some of these secondary players. Chris Johnson, who's right by me, San Diego State, guy that some people think could go as early as late in the 1st round.
Cole Payton, lefty, throwing outside the right hash. Good throw, hard throw for a left-hander quarterback.
You know what you need to watch with this team over the next couple of reps, and maybe even tomorrow? Just look how many balls are completed inside the numbers and in this hash area, and how much the quarterbacks have to push the ball outside, because the linebackers and safeties are that good on this football team.
All right, let's see this. Gotta look at this.
So each quarterback split reps. Cole Payton running with the ones now. Sawyer Robertson has done that as well. But Payton, for his parts, played well.
3rd and 10 screen. Looked like Zane Durant from Penn State sniffed that one out pretty well. But there's Adam Randall on the run, as Lewis mentioned a little while ago. It was Matt mentioned, it's a former college wide receiver turned running back.
Gentlemen, there's nothing that gets my football hormones raging more than a well-executed screen at the right time.
Where are you going with that one, Matt?
I mean, I love the screen game. Love it.
I'll tell you what, Adam Randall looks the part. You look at him from the lower body, that's what an NFL running back should look like.
Big kid.
He's just so green at the position still, still learning it. Still just getting used to it, banking reps. They love him at Clemson. Great individual.
his college career is any indication, Diego Pavia probably would have scored on that play if it were real life, but obviously couldn't handle that snap clean.
Well, he ran it the whole length of the field to ensure that he did score on the play.
He was running towards our set. I think he was hoping to be interviewed.
33 punch, can, 39G. Oh, my bad. Dice left close, 33 punch, can, 39G.
So a quick story of what's going on here. I've got the defensive coaches to my right mouthing off to the offensive coaches. So you know where the intensity is coming from because it's starting with the staff.
We're coaching, we're officiating, we're getting a little bit of everything here, Matt.
K-Tron Allen, running back, Penn State. I mean, they are flying around.
Yeah, they sure are. I know. You
It's
can hear the
tackle
coaches
football.
yelling, "Stay up!" But some of these defensive players just can't help themselves today.
Snug left, 3-chip X-wrap dart.
Tight pull around the deuce, run your feet on. Snug left, 3-chip X-wrap dart. A one-on-one break.
Guys, 52, Jalen Farmer. So check that.
Say it again, Matt.
Vincent Anthony, 52 on defense, defensive end out of Duke.
Yeah.
He is long.
Big, long, lean rusher right there.
Yeah, and he just had a great
Nickel.
rep.
Hey, it's not a competition
Not to be
period, no
confused, by the
competition
way,
period.
with Wisconsin wide receiver Vinny Anthony, who was also here at the Senior Bowl this week.
And the old college football double numbers. Those will get you every time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he's also well coached. Manny Diaz does a great job with that side of the ball in particular.
Hey, it's 3rd and 8. 3rd and 8. All right, it's 3rd and 8. We got smoke 52. 3rd and 8. 52, smoke 52. Right there, Chip, stay right there. There you go, perfect.
Hot. Little lady, what's hot?
Where you at? Where you at? Form down, we on the field. Form down, we on the field. All right, hey, this is 3rd and 10. 11 personnel. 11 personnel.
So some talent running out onto the field now for the defense. You see T.J. Parker, he's out there.
Yep. This
Number
defensive
9.
line right here, I mean, right now we're talking about, a couple of guys that could easily be top 50 picks in the next 3 months. T.J. Parker, Lee Hunter, Darrell Jackson. I mean, this is NFL bodies right here.
So I couldn't get out. We might do a straight.
Little lady, what's hot?
Hey, that long arm bull rush that T.J. Parker just used, that's a sack in the game. I mean, it's textbook. You could see it from the get-go. He knew exactly what he was going to do. I mean, yeah. And just come off the ball, great leverage, perfect hand placement, just run his feet, just collapse the pocket.
Guys, these quarterbacks don't stand a chance right now. I mean, they can't get the ball.
Yeah, that pocket closed quickly. That's a sack in a game.
Well, one of the things that you notice with these guys when you were down here in one-on-one drills, if you stand right next to them, is the kind of body explosiveness, first-step explosiveness that these young men possess. I mean, you can tell. These guys are just built different. These guys are fantastic athletes. Their first 2 steps are like lightning. They are off the ball and gone. they had that play diagnosed from the get-go. Hey, I know we just keep saying it. We don't want to be too redundant, but the defense is ahead of the offense clearly, and it's always going to be that way. But these guys, this group, we'll see how the American team looks when they come out here in a little while. But this defense is locked in.
That's
especially
Hood,
this.
by the way, on the coverage right there. That's an explosive athlete out of Tennessee.
But Field, to your point, I mean, these 11 on the field right now, these 11, it's an elite unit of defenders.
I mean, I'm looking at this group right now, Matty. I could see 7 of these guys in the top 125 picks. 6, 7 of them.
Oh, that was a drop
right
coverage there.
Now the offense says, all right, we get our chance.
That's really one of the first reps, other than that Katron Allen run from about 45 minutes ago, that they've beaten the defense.
Yeah, which was a bad fit, right? Bad run fit. This is a drop coverage, blown assignment. This is fun. That's what this is all about. Good on good. Diego Pavia talked about it. Everybody here is good.
One of your favorite plays, back.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
21, 21, 21. All right, a little bit longer call here. Pen right ace, 3 jumbo, both deep curl, wide search.
Pin right 8, 3 pin right 8, 3 jumbo, both deep curl, wide search. On 1-on-1, ready? Gotta hit it.
This will be 2 deep curls. 2 deep curls.
Got you with the game. Got us with the game.
Talks
11,
about Kyle
11,
Lewis
11.
throughout the week. Lewis obviously has a strong affinity for him. I thought maybe he'd rep a
Here
little
we
bit.
go, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10. Big play.
Pretty much working mostly at linebacker.
Dice
so I
right,
wonder if we will get some
2
of those
chip,
reps later.
all go comebacks angle. Dice right, 2 chip, all go comebacks angle.
Dice right, 2 chip, all go comebacks angle.
Yeah, Field, I think he's been working both.
Yeah, in the league, you're not going to want to put him in the back end. He's going to play the star or the money. He's going to play down in the box. And you're just going to move him around. I think you'd be doing him a disservice to put him in the back end.
Who else?
It's unbelievable, this guy.
Jacob Rodriguez.
This linebacker group is legit. We've been coming here a while doing these practices. This is as good a group of off-ball guys as I've seen since we've been doing this.
So Jacob Rodriguez, 2 forced fumbles and an interception in today's practice.
There are probably some stats that we overdo it on during practices of the Senior Bowl week from time to time, Matt Berry, but just pure ball disruption, those are no joke. Well done there by Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, the one concern is you don't want to see Sawyer Robertson get hit the way he got hit there. I'm glad he's okay, but it is competitive up front, and the defense, regardless of what the combination was, really dominated up front that whole period.
You good? You good? I'm good, yes, sir. All right. Best out of 3. Where's the ball? Let's go. It's a route. One around route. Hey, gotta move on the edge. Move on. Route. Back up. Offense, back up. We're route. Hey.
All right, so this is a special portion of practice, some one-on-one.
A little competitive right here. Oh, wait, Matt, I got to be honest with you. It's a great catch right there down the field. DJ Rogers looked like he was the recipient. I was blocked by some human blockades. The offense almost felt stunned, like there was no reaction. Like, that's a heck of a play.
Because it
Get up there and celebrate a little bit, will you?
For the last hour and a half.
Yeah. Usually these things are, these guys are getting all fired up.
You see Pavia mouthing off to the defense.
Yeah, this defense is letting him hear it a little bit. I'm telling you, the defensive energy is on a different level right now than the offense. The offense has been shell-shocked throughout this practice.
Been that way the whole practice.
Yeah. Got to get Mike T in for a motivational speech a little bit later. There we go. Offense.
Tell you what.
Finally feeling a little bit right there. It's a heck of a catch.
Oh.
Borkacher has had a heck of a day going back to one-on-ones earlier. He has made 3 or 4 contested catches.
That was sweet.
Yep. A little hold at the beginning of it, too. Nice play.
All Kyle Lewis could do was clap his hands on that one. Hey, you got me.
Borkacher, a game-winning catch early in the season. We talked about the tight end class here a year ago and some of the guys that went on to the NFL. There's a couple of good tight ends out here again as the national team wrapping up their practice just shy of 2 hours. We'll listen to the coaching staff now with their team as they wrap up their workout.
Hey, fellas, this is an outstanding day of work, all right? 2 days into this. Today, obviously, continued on with first, second down, and started to mix in third down. The most important thing, besides all the X's and O's and things we got going on, is the spirit of competition. You guys are competing. Iron sharpens iron. We're making each other better, all right? And it's not personal. There's going to be reps that you get your ass kicked. There's going to be reps that your teammate going to kick your ass, too. But at the end of the day, what we are preparing for is on Saturday, we're going to kick the shit out of the American team. Everybody understand that? That's what it's all about. All right, so let's continue to grow. Let's continue to get better. We got to clean up the penalties. All right, we're not going to do anything that's going to beat ourselves. So we got to get that part right. Spend the extra time still getting that stuff done. Everybody understand? All right, great work today. We'll get back. Let's get the meetings in tonight. Let's clean up and detail the rest of this work that we got in. But man, it's a hell of a damn day. Keep the spirit, keep the energy, keep the passion. That's exactly what we're looking for. All right, because it's going to translate to fucking Sundays. This is what your teammates want out of you. You understand that? Yes, sir. All right, let's go. Let's get a break.
Down everything you just heard, everything we saw in the final 15 minutes, our stars of practice, and everything from the national team. You just heard Coach Hurt say it. He wants to channel today's energy, take it to the game on Saturday. We'll wrap it up in a moment when we return to Mobile.
The Panini Senior Bowl practice is brought to you by Panini, where the draft begins. Start your Panini trading card collection today by visiting www.paniniamerica.net.
What an afternoon it was for the national team. Diego Pavia, Sawyer Robertson, some of those guys talking about after the practice. Louis Riddick, Mike Tannenbaum, Field Yates, Matt Berry, Quint Kesnick on the field. You heard our voices for the better part of the last 2 hours. Now we're here to break down everything we saw. And again, no broken records here, but what a hell of a practice. You heard Coach Hurt say that when he spoke to the team. Louis, your impressions of what we saw this afternoon?
Yeah, I think naturally you see defenses are going to be ahead of offenses when a new team is being put together, especially in an all-star type of setting, and this didn't disappoint. I mean, this group from front to back, all 3 levels, these guys were hunting the football. The off-ball linebackers, like I said, we've been coming here for a long time, both televising it and as scouts before we even got into the TV business. That's as good a group of off-ball linebackers that I've seen here since I've been coming here. These guys made plays in the run and the pass game. This team is locked in and tuned up. This is going to be a heck of a game when they actually play 11-on-11 against the American team.
Yeah, just to echo that, I thought Jacob Rodriguez in particular really stood out, guys. Look, we know about his productivity. Over 300 career tackles at Texas Tech. And not only was he hunting the ball, as Lou alluded to, but I really liked his movement skills in man defense, zone defense. He was calling things out. It looked like he was part of this defense for years, not 4 or 5 days. So, you know, what we saw on tape from Texas Tech really translated well. When you can turn the ball over in college, you can turn the ball over in an all-star game. You got 32 teams sitting in their draft room saying, you know what, he's going to be able to turn the ball over at the next level.
And look, again, it's kind of serendipitous. We spoke with his coach, Joey McGuire, beforehand, just talking about all the defenders and all the players that he has here at the Senior Bowl. So, Field, I'll go big picture with you. We'll get to your play in just a moment. What did you see out there during the 2 hours?
I'll continue the theme of how impressive the defensive intensity was. And so here, to me, is taking it to the next step, is tomorrow. And I get it. These guys are going to be on the same team come Saturday. And also, as Lewis mentioned, we generally expect the defense to be further along earlier in the week than offense. They're reactors as opposed to offensive guys have to be planners. Good test, though, for the offense. Like tomorrow, I want to see some more spirited energy from this offense. I said it during the competitive drill at the end of the practice. It's like, the first play, the offense wins, and it was just like, I want to see some fire in their bellies. And I think tomorrow, that'd be a good opportunity for them to ramp back up and show that they got shell-shocked today, but they've got that drive in them, and they're here to compete.
To that end, we again, going back to our prior experience here, we typically see Thursday dial back a little bit.
Yeah.
So now I'll be interested, based on what we saw out there this afternoon with the National, what we'll see out of them come Thursday. And look, Mike T jumped the gun. He wasn't supposed to give you his player at that. Right?
Is that a false start?
So he wanted to get his tape on first. So now we'll transition from big picture, what we saw at Team National, to the player that caught your eye the most today, Lewis.
Yeah, we'll stay at the linebacker group. Kyle Lewis from Pitt. He really did. Clint
told
I'll tell you, Clint told me before the practice even started, he goes, hey, have you taken a look at Kyle Lewis? He has just been showing up. He showed up day one. I was like, yeah, he's a guy who I wanted to feature today, who I really wanted to take a close look at. Got to see him play this season, and he said he's just so smooth. He's just natural, great instincts. He's locked in meetings. And you saw that group overall today just really excel. They hunted like a pack of three, no matter who the three were that were in there, and they all made plays. And that's something, look, I think linebacker is the hardest position to play in football outside of quarterback, simply because of what they ask you to do in today's game. And these guys are standing out, and that's something I can't say in the previous years that I've come here.
Can I still like Jacob Rodriguez?
Yeah, just give us
go ahead. You can give us a little more if you want.
Yeah. Look, one of the things, as Lou just mentioned too, linebackers are asked to do a lot. They got to blitz, they got to cover, they got to create turnovers, stop the run. They got to be able to play man zone. And what I was really impressed just watching Jacob Rodriguez here, number 35, is we knew about the production, but his foot athlete, his ability to move was better than I expected. And what teams will like about that is he won't be scheme specific, meaning I can see him playing Tampa 2 as the runner right through the middle of the field. I don't think he's going to be ideal man-to-man, but then again, there are not a lot of, man-to-man linebackers. You look at all these awards he's won from the Buckets, Nagurski, Lombardi, and Benderek. You don't do that without having the production that he had.
And weirdly, you'd think that a guy who had this decorated of a college career, a guy who's scoring touchdowns on offense for Texas Tech, they have this incredible run during the college football playoff, you would think, like, in some ways the story should already be written on him. And it actually felt like today was a day that he made himself some money in draft stock, because he proved, I think there were still some skeptics about, was this just a tackle collector at Texas Tech, which some of these counting stats for linebackers can lead people to believe that can be the case with some of these guys. And instead, the opposite has been true so far today, or this week, I should say, for Rodriguez. Nice to see him sort of further solidify how solid of a prospect he is.
You mentioned the offensive side of that. They were in the later part of the season lining him up at quarterback.
Yeah.
They wanted to get him the Heisman because they're like, look, this is a defensive player, but we legitimately believe that he's the most outstanding player in college football. And we saw a little bit, no, not a little bit, we saw all of his athleticism today.
Yeah, I think we overlook that position in football a lot, even still. Even as important as defending the middle of the field is, and as important it is to have three down linebackers, we still focus on edge rushers, outside linebackers, corners, star players, like Kyle Hamilton's, like Taron Johnson's, like Jalen Petries, and the inside guys, the Mikes and the Wills kind of get looked at as, oh yeah, we need those guys too. But when they come out here and they make plays like this is what you start thinking about. People like, oh, wow, I mean, in San Francisco, they really do miss a guy like Fred Warner when he's not on the field.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty good. Azeez Al-Shire is pretty good. Henry Toto is pretty good. Those kind of dudes, hey, I mean, that you need them to play high-level defense in the NFL now, and that's why when you see a guy play like that, Jacob Rodriguez is going to play 10, 12, 14 years in the NFL.
And one of the things at the next level we talk about is the green dot, which is the coach to defender communication. And again, there's the more boxes you could check. Hey, I could call the defense. I could call out the strength of the offense. I can play in the kicking game. You know, the more boxes you check, you want to give yourself the benefit of the doubt, the tiebreakers in draft rooms. And as we go through the process, I think by the time we get to the combine and these teams interview Jacob Rodriguez, they're going to fall in love with him.
He played a lot of football at Texas Tech. He was the green dot there in Lubbock. So you're getting the guy. You got a ready-made quarterback for the defense coming out.
I'll tell you, the next thing for him is when he hits the combine, when he lines up to run that 40. And I know people are going to say, well, what does that mean? You can look at the listen, when we're talking about valuing him, Jacob comes out there and runs a low 4.5, high 4.4. You can bank it now.
Sure.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about him on every damn show.
Yeah.
They're going to be saying, hey, how high is this guy going? Because he can play.
Yeah. It's funny, too, because the college football people know that he can play. And it's like, hey, NFL guys, here's Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah,
He's
they know, too. They know. They've been on the road this year. They know.
Maybe quietly they don't want to get this guy
that's
anybody
right.
else. All right, who was your play that you saw today?
Back to the same side of the ball, defense. Tonight, Dennis Sutton, edge rusher from Penn State. He's a guy who probably is best known for some of his pass rushing skills, but kind of what stood out to me is not just some of the stuff that we saw during one-on-ones, but also his, I would say, integrity and dedication towards defending the run, which you saw a little bit of right there. You saw a guy that was fired up after some of the key plays he made during 11-on-11 drills. Got very good power, not premier length, but definitely a good body for the position. Overall, we've seen Penn State produce several edge rushers. I mean, it feels like every year they got at least one guy that we're talking about, the top 50 to 65 players in the draft from the defensive line. This could be one of those guys that is sort of the next in line here for Penn State.
You guys all went defense. I do want to drop Tyron Montgomery's name from John Carroll.
Yes.
He had a great catch in the end zone, plus he scored across the middle. So one of those small school guys getting an opportunity to show his skills today. Okay, we came in talking about the quarterbacks. Cole Payton looked good. Sawyer Robertson, quarterback for Baylor. Diego Pavia, again, probably the biggest name player here. Tannenbaum, I'll start with you on this one. What'd you make of Diego?
Well, if we're being completely fair, the defensive front seven, regardless of the combinations of who in was who out, was overwhelming the offensive line. And Diego was able to squirt through a couple times. But I got to tell you, Matt, if we were playing tackle football, I think that we're looking at multiple sacks. So, again, we talked about this a little bit. On some of those zone reads, I wish he would have pulled it, see him on the perimeter, because I think that's what he does really well.
If you talk about, Matt, about the fact that tomorrow the offense field, you guys talked about this, but the offense really needs to respond tomorrow, especially to how boisterous, how energetic the defense was today. Needs to be the guy who sparks that. He's the guy who sparked it for Vanderbilt. That's really what his calling card is, right? His calling card is his emotion, his playmaking ability, his ability to elevate others from an emotional standpoint first, and then obviously from an execution standpoint. You can tell if you watched him, he's trying to kind of find his way in this offense right now and get comfortable. I guarantee you tomorrow he comes out mouth chirping probably a little bit and running around a little bit because he knows, he saw what happened today too. He'll see it on the tape tonight.
He gave it to the defense at the end of practice a little bit too.
He did,
that competitive drill, so you kind of saw what I think most of us associate with, that personality within Diego Pavia. But yes, we have seen over the past few years. You think about Bo Nix, Michael Penix, the year they came out, even Mac Jones, the year he came out. These quarterbacks have often been the thermostat for the rest of the roster. They kind of are the North Star. It'd be good to see him and the rest of the quarterback room kind of galvanize a much steadier offensive effort tomorrow. I'm sure they're thirsty to get back and get some redemption.
We are just getting started. The national team wrapped up. We're going to go on campus and hop over to ESPNU for the American team. Guys, we are under the lights tonight. We haven't done that in years.
On.
Bundle up, layers.
I'm about to go get that winter coat.
Gloves, earmuffs, and more football coming up on ESPNU. We'll see you in about 30 minutes.